Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I am your host and a Master Certified Life Coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. How many times, well, even just this week already, or I know this drops on a Monday, so if a Monday morning, how many times you're like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just show me. I will get anything done. I just need to know what to do. We are inundated with so many options and decisions and choices and priorities, and our to-do list is never ending. So we get into this rut, we get into this cycle of, fine, just tell me what to do. I don't want to make a decision for myself. I don't know the right decision, so I want someone else to tell me. And I wanted to talk about that because this is a trap that we get into, this rut, this cycle, and it's not all bad, but it's also something that we need to be aware of. And I'm noticing it more and more and more in coaching. My coaching clients who are always like, just tell me what to do. And I tell them, my job is not to tell you what to do. It's help you figure out what you want to do for yourself, what decisions, what your next step is. It's to help you discover it versus me telling you. And I'm going to share more about that in a little while. But let's talk about how, before you say, oh no, I don't depend on other people, or oh yes, I depend on everybody to tell me what to do too much. Let's talk about how from a young age, this is what we've been told to do. We have been, we look to others who've come before us, who have done it, which is not bad. That's how we learn, right? By modeling. We learn to walk by watching the adults walk and then say, no, let me try that myself, or however it goes on in a toddler's mind. Let's talk about as a mom, the moment you find out you're pregnant, you start reading books, looking at blogs, talking to other moms about the pregnancy. We ask the doctors, what can I do to make this a healthy pregnancy? When we have toddlers, we read about potty training, and yet every child is different. And I don't know about you, but I read multiple books and blogs and ideas and training tips on potty training. Both of my kids, being teenagers, are now well potty trained, but they did it on their own time and in their own way. The tips and tricks did help me a little bit understand the fact that, that all these things are normal. But I had to wait because I had to do it on the way that they wanted it done. So the experts, the ones who used the tips and the tricks and wrote the books, actually didn't get it right in my circumstance. How many times do we want to learn something, we need to make a decision. So we look at what other people have done. We try to look at other decisions, like who else has had this project, this problem, and what are some options? We look to books. We look to podcasts, which I hear the irony. We look to experts to just tell us, which again, we have a few ingredients and we're looking for a recipe. It's not bad to go to a cookbook or Google a recipe with the ingredients that you have. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to experts, that you shouldn't go to your friends and your family for advice. when it gets dicey, when it becomes a problem, is when you completely depend on other people to make decisions for you. When you start to distrust your own intuition, when you haven't discovered who you are, when you haven't written out your core values, your family priorities, and your strengths, and when you don't know what your end game is, when you haven't cast a vision, when you haven't looked to see, what do I want for my life and what is God leading me to? And you continue to just go and listen to Audible and take Bible study classes, which again, not bad. But I was studying this, I was doing this Bible study because again, I wanted to learn about the book of Hebrews. We're studying it at church, and he talks about some concepts and he's like, hey, dig in it on your own. And one of the things that this Bible study talks about is how you should avoid commentaries and any interpretations until you've wrestled it for yourself first, until you see what it says for you. And this is such it takes time. It's not easy. How many times do we look for just the easier, faster? Our life is about being convenient, being, speedy. What are we doing with all this extra time that we have? Oh, wait, we don't have extra time. We're just busier. And so sometimes by taking out that step of discovering it and interpreting it for ourselves, we may think we're saving time, but in the long run, we're making decisions that do not reflect us, that do not lead to the best outcomes for our family. So today, I just want to talk about 5 signs, 5 things that you can, 5 signs that you're not trusting your gut, you're not trusting your intuition, you are not wrestling with an idea, a concept, and you're just allowing someone else to make the decision for you. And again, getting information is not bad. But how many times do you do something and you have that gut feeling that, well, it's not the right decision, but I just don't know what else to do. So I'm going to go, I'm going to do something. But so let's talk about 5 signs that you're not trusting yourself. You're not asking yourself the questions. One is you're constantly seeking approval or looking for someone else to make the decision for you. You want evidence that decision's right for someone else. If it worked for them, it can work for me. When we do that, when we're constantly seeking other people's approval, we are actually diminishing our own knowledge and wisdom and our intuition. And we are not taking into account that God made us unique with unique circumstances, unique experiences, with unique strengths and weaknesses. That sometimes He actually wants you to get quiet and answer it for yourself, instead of always seeking someone else's approval. He talks about how, whose approval are we seeking? The world's, man's, or His? And so when you're constantly seeking approval for your decisions, when you're looking for validation and to see what's working for other people without asking yourself, how can this work for me? Or what aspect of this will work for me? Then we're removing our own intuition from this. We're removing our own knowledge and wisdom and understanding, and we're not trusting ourselves. The second one is frequent indecision. I have decision fatigue. I get it all the time where I'm done, so done making decisions. I just don't want to make any decisions. Man, how many times as a mom do we have, I think we make thousands of decisions every day. Thousands. I don't remember the numbers. I don't have it right in front of me. And I know that they're saying about 90% of them are actually subconscious and automated. 90%. Could you imagine if we had to make 50% of the decisions? Like I don't even want to think about that, just because I am thankful that my lungs breathe without me deciding to breathe in. Oh, now I'm going to breathe out. I don't have to. I don't have to think about every time my heart beats. I don't have to, even when I'm eating, my body knows what to do, right? So these are decisions we don't have to make. But we get into this, honestly, I have been in a situation, I've been in a circumstance lately where just the motivation, I've been trying to figure out some motivation. Like, I've been not depressed, not down, but just, it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Just kind of stuck and looking for a revitalization. Like, I just need to bring some new life. And I'm making some changes in order to do that. But with that, when those decisions and the frequent indecision comes in, where it's just like, I just don't know which way to go. And you either avoid the decision altogether, or you will do things like, try to ride the fence and make a decision without actually making a decision. Or we try to do two things to see, hopefully something works, or we make a decision and then that's the number 3, is the feeling unsettled, or after we make a decision, we always think of, I should have gone the other way. Also, that could be shiny object syndrome, where you bounce from decision to decision because you don't actually know which way to go. And that's a sign that you're not trusting your intuition. You're not trusting your gut. You're not allowing the Holy Spirit to guide you. You're not giving yourself the space, the margin, the rest to hear what you're actually needing from the moment. So if you're often unsettled after you make a decision, you don't know if it was the right one or not, you don't go all in on a decision, or you feel like, I should have, if you have the constant feel of there I go again, I made the wrong decision. A lot of times that's because you knew in the first place. How many times do we have a gut reaction? We know what decision we need to make, but a lot of times we do not have the confidence, or a lot of times it's the fear of acknowledging what we're actually what we know in our knower. We know what we want, or what we need to do. So another one is, if we ignore emotional signals, so we're feeling anxiety or overwhelm, or all of these emotional feelings, all of these signals that something is not right. And even more so, if we lean into them, if we allow the anxiety and overwhelm to consume us, that's also a sign that we're not trusting our intuition. Sometimes our intuition is saying, hey, you know what? We need to slow down and we need to evaluate this. But if you just keep going at the speed you're going, you're not able to do that. And so ignoring those emotional signals is a sign that you're not trusting, that you know something deep inside that you haven't expressed yet, that you haven't acknowledged. And it takes a lot of courage to acknowledge some of those things, because typically they go against the grain. Typically, God is asking something a little bit different from you that's going to stretch you, pull you out of your comfort zone. But it's worth it. And the last one I have is, if you neglect your personal needs and wants. So it's easy to neglect our wants. It's something we want, we desire. It's not necessary, right? So we can just set those aside. But so many times we are neglecting our needs as well, where our need to go in one direction, our need to take care of ourselves, our need to eat healthy, our need to save money, our need, whatever it is. But if you're neglecting your personal needs, that is a sign that you're not trusting your gut. Get in the habit of listening to your gut. You don't have to act on it, but just start identifying, what is my intuition saying in this moment? And I will talk about that in a moment too. But, and then let's talk about wants. I grew up, and even in my adulthood, with this concept of not deserving anything, not feeling worthy, not feeling like we don't deserve what we get. And part of that, unfortunately, was from the churches and the faith background that I had, because I understood it in a way that wasn't healthy. That, we don't deserve what we get. Of course not. We deserve death, right? Like, God saved us, and we aren't, and we deserve, well, it's even hard to conceptualize this at the moment. I don't know why all of a sudden, like, just the idea of talking about this kind of grips me a little bit. And it's like, okay, what is my intuition saying here? My intuition is saying that we are taught we don't want to be prideful. We want to be humble, that we don't get what we deserve. We get so much more. And it's kind of hard to acknowledge that, because, and to say, oh, well, I deserve this. It's like, well, why should you? Well, you know why we should deserve to take care of our needs and even some of our wants? Is because God was willing to lay down his life for us to have a life abundant. He was willing to give up his life. Not only willing, he did. So we can live forever with him and his Father, right? So though we may not deserve it, he's also offering us a life of joy. Joy, peace, kindness, goodness, all of those, the fruits of the Spirit. He's offering it to us. So why are we neglecting our own needs and not trusting how to take care of ourselves? And sometimes that leads to not being able to take care of our family the way we want to. We do it the way that we throw darts at it and see, okay, this is what we're going to need. This is what we're going to do. Instead of stopping and asking ourselves, okay, well, the situation that came up, how do I want this how do I want the ending to look? How do I want this to be resolved? Okay, what will get me there? Instead of just making a decision and moving. Sometimes there's times that you need to make a decision and go. But are you able to? And are you able to make that decision and slow down enough to ask yourselves, what is my gut telling me in this moment? What is the Holy Spirit? And I'm not saying the Holy Spirit and your intuition or gut is the same thing. However, you get to them the same way, by being quiet, by asking some questions, and by really giving yourself the space to hear, to notice, to recognize. I often will write down things that I'm like, my gut reactions, or the things that I feel like the Spirit is telling me. So I can, when I see it written down, it's a little different. It processes different in the brain than if you just hear it or it's just in your mind, because it's hard to conceptualize it until it's out of your brain and onto paper, right? So what would it feel like to take a decision or two today and get quiet and ask yourselves, okay, what do I really want this to look like at the end? What do I need from this in the moment? And what is my gut saying? Should I go this direction? Should I not? Should I go a different direction? But get quiet and listen to what your heart is saying. Because just because an expert says it, doesn't make it right for you. It doesn't mean that's the way to do it. Because again, we have been from day one, we're told to trust what someone else tells you. And I think the part of that is because it's so easy. I mean, obviously it's worked for them. So they have evidence it's worked for them. And well, the fact that it worked for them, it gives us some hope that it will work for us too. But when we depend on that completely, when we get so focused on just doing things the easy way, we miss out the gold that is there for us. We miss out that creativity that we can add to it. And if we don't give ourselves space to actually invite creativity, to invite well, how does this work for us? Then we're actually making more work for ourselves because we have to compensate for it later. So as I wrap this up, I mentioned that I would talk to you. Well, I kind of did. What is my intuition saying in the moment is you ask yourself questions. You get quiet. You do not judge yourself. Get curious on what about the decision is hard to make. This question, when I started asking myself, okay, what part of the decision? Is it the answer, or do I need to define some of the terms? When I started asking myself that, it opened up a whole new world for me in that, because many times I realized why I was hesitant, what part of it I didn't want to, and I can either do more research, or I can get quiet and I can look to see, okay, what are the other options? Because I don't like the two responses or the two answers that my brain is giving me. Is there a secret option number 3 that actually leads to what I want, what I need, what my family needs? So how do you figure out what you want? Well, we will talk about that more in the next podcast. We'll talk about, we'll talk about some tips to start recognizing your intuition and understanding it and trusting it and building that trust between you and your intuition. But let me leave you with this, is many times we know what we want, we're just afraid to admit it. We're afraid to say it out loud. We're afraid that we don't deserve it. We're afraid we're not good enough for it, or it's going to be too much work, or it's the answer's too easy, and we're afraid of that too. We're afraid it's going to inconvenience someone else or upset someone. When you're looking at decisions and you can't make a decision, or you're looking to someone else, first ask yourself, okay, what do I know to be true concerning this? What has worked before? What has not worked before? What information, or how does my experience that I've already been through, how does this give me information for this? Start to ask yourself these questions and start to identify you in this whole process. And again, another shameless plug for Shine. Join Shine membership. This month we are diving into just taking a beat, just breathing, and how by just taking a moment of rest, we can actually be more productive. We can make better decisions. We can, the list goes on. In our coaching video this month, it's already up. So as soon as you join, you get access to the coaching video. But I talk about that. And then we're going to do a live workshop later this month. And we're going to talk about how we can bring this idea of trusting your intuition, understanding your own needs into play. Like how we can do that day to day without making massive changes in our life, without cutting anything out or adding anything that is important. We don't need to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We can actually make small decisions, small changes that lead to a life that we really love. So join us, please. We have so much fun, and I'm excited about what's coming over the next couple of months. Just a hint for Shine members, one of the things that I really feel God has put on my heart, and this is a topic I've talked about over and over, is intentions. But how do you make intentions for the holidays? For Shine members, we're going to do an extra workshop. We're going to set the intentions for the holidays, how to enjoy them and be in the moment and still make the memories that you want to make. So the only way to get into this is by joining Shine. If you want more information on Shine, Be the Light membership, this is the kind of things we talk about, is I help you see what you want and how to get it. I help you see how you make an impact and how you matter. Your skills, your experience, your strengths, even your weaknesses really do matter to those around you. You have an impact. You not only strongly impact your family, but you can impact your friends and your community, your church, and you can see how and why God made you and why he put you on this earth, and the fact that you're still needed. And we know that because you're still here. So join Shine. I can't wait to see you in there. I will see you in the Facebook group and when you do. And with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you.